Well, welcome and to the end of season meeting for the first thing I have to do is tell you exactly what this meeting is. It's the we had an end of season meeting for the Santa Clara Valley Autobot Society's Cavity Nester Recovery Program every year, and it was obviously in person. And we would get together and talk about what had happened every year. And then toward the last few years, I started talking about what had been going on with the California Bluebird Recovery Program and kind of updates on various things. And then of course with COVID, we weren't going to be able to have anything in person anyway. And when we decided to have the virtual one, I said, can we just open it up to the state, to the CBRP? And so that's why this is basically the Santa Clara Valley Autobot Societies, and they're hosting it. Carolyn is our the person who is hosting it, and thank you very much to her. And but you're gonna, it's when I showed the agenda to Dick Blaine, our beloved leader, he said it looked like a California Bluebird Recovery Program meeting. And it, so it's going to kind of look that way because I got a lot of news about the California Bluebird Recovery Program. But I'll be able to talk to you about what's going on with it. And then I'll tell you what's coming up at the end. And then first of all, is there anybody that is another county coordinator? I know we have Georgette who's here. So if by any chance we got Beverly.
I'm here too, yeah.
Hey, Beverly. Okay, so Beverly is our Cronin, right?
Yeah.
Is our San Mateo County coordinator. And I'm looking to see if I recognize any other names as being coordinator. And I don't, so I see Joan. Hey, Joan Loney. So what I would, so anyway, we'll talk about it more at the end. But what I have in mind is that if you have any questions or stories or suggestions, anything like that, what we're going to do is at the end, we're going to open it up and let everybody, anybody who's got a report about what happened, you can either type it into chat. For example, if you had anything, any cool stories, anything that really happened. If you noticed that, for example, you didn't have chickadees this year or something like that, you can put that in there. And if you want to actually talk about it, then just go ahead and say, I'd like to give my own report, and we'll open it up at the end. So if you go ahead and put it in chat, then that would be good. Or if you want to just lurk, you can just lurk. Anyway, so I know we have Dick Blaine here. Dick is the the director, basically, of the California Bluebird Recovery Program. We have Georgette Howington is here, and she is our assistant director, and she's also a county coordinator for Contra Costa and Alameda County. My name is Mike Azevedo, and I am the Santa Clara County coordinator. And at some point, it's just a matter of time before I'll probably become the San Joaquin County also, because that's where I live now. And then we have you'll hear from Lee Pauser, who's one of our really prolific nest box monitors in Santa Clara County, and anybody else who's in Santa Clara County. I hope you're able to jump in at the end when we go and get reports from everybody. Any questions, go ahead and put it in chat, and suggestions, things like that. And I wanted to point out again that Santa Clara Valley Autobot Society is actually sponsoring this, and Carolyn once again is our host. So if you're a Santa Clara Valley monitor, I hope you are able to put in chat what happened with your with your trail this year. And of course, that opens to everybody. Anybody up out there who's a trail monitor, please let us know how your year went. Okay, so I want to talk about the Bluebird Recovery Program, and I'm going to have ask Dick if he can chime in, because we've got some changes to the board of the California Bluebird Recovery Program. Dick, do you want to talk about who's on the board now? Oh, I think you're muted still. I'm not hearing him. Is the problem mine?
I don't hear him either.
Okay, Dick, could you?
I think I figured it out.
Okay, good deal.
I had a very strange screen on my screen. I think most of you are familiar with the California Bluebird program. We are a loose collaboration of about 200-300 trail monitors and about another 100 organizations. All of us are interested in the environment and protecting birds, especially cavity nesting birds. We started, Don Yoder from Walnut Creek started this organization in about 1996. I took it over around 2006, and I frankly ran it by myself. I had a board of directors, but they were really inactive. So about 2 years ago, I got together with Mike, with Tricia, and with Georgette. I asked them to become our board of directors, and they've done a stellar job, just fantastic. We've moved the organization from just monitoring and recording bluebirds and other cavity nesters to actually going out and contacting all of the Autobot societies. We're doing training. Mike and Georgette are very much involved in training films. Patricia is our web designer. She's done a spectacular job in developing a website. So we're still getting our act together, trying to figure how we fit into the larger birding community. But I think this meeting illustrates the fact that we've starting to get our act together. So that's about all I wanted to say. I do like the board. I want to acknowledge what they're doing. And I'm very, very pleased at the direction we're taking. Mike, back to you.
Cool. Thank you. So I introduced Georgette Howington, and you've already heard from her, but you'll be hearing more from her later on. Patricia Jordan, we haven't heard from her yet. You will hear from her. She's in the audience. And so Patricia Jordan is also on the board. And then there's me. And so the next thing I wanted to talk about was some stuff that we're doing. We're putting together some videos, training videos for the website. We've already got, he mentioned the website, and I don't want to steal Trish's thunder because I actually was going to have her talk about that, and she's going to show a couple of slides. But we're trying to make it so the website, when you go there, you're able to just find everything you need. So we'll be working on training videos and articles and things like that, so that anybody who goes there will be able to just get started on putting in a really successful nest box. So we're working on the training videos, and also Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society actually is having a wildlife and harvest festival. I know it was with the city of Cupertino. With COVID has kind of knocked things for a loop. You want to, so what you're better off telling us what that's all about, and about we have a video coming from it.
Yeah. So every year in October, for the past, 30 some years or so, we've done a Wildlife and Harvest Day festival. And that's featured organizations like the California Bluebird Recovery Program and other environmental groups within the South Bay area. And it was just a day where we could invite mostly Cupertino residents, but really the whole public to come out, see some wildlife, learn about their local environmental organizations and how they could get involved. It was really kids oriented. So we had nest box building, we had owl pellet dissections, there was wild animal showings. And of course we couldn't do that last year. So we turned to a virtual format. And we invited all of the organizations that we've loved working with to produce videos and kind of do their own virtual show and tell, an introduction of what they do and some activities that really highlighted how they interacted with their various conservation interests and environmental interests, to just share that with the public. So this year, the California Bluebird Recovery Program is involved, as well as some 20 other organizations. Every Monday, we're going to be releasing new videos. So I believe next week, we're going to be featuring the video from the Bluebird Recovery Program. This week, we've got videos from Saved by Nature, Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District. Might have left off a word in there, it's a long one, and the San Francisco Bay Bird Observatory. And with that, we're also going to be doing a couple of family-oriented walks for the kids, because we can do some activities outdoors and socially distanced now, which we're super excited about. And there's going to be all sorts of arts and crafts. So whether you want, you know, an introduction to building your own nest boxes, or some really actually fantastic coloring book pages, we're hoping you can find something to keep your interest for at least 15 minutes or so.
Excellent. So last year, our video was just introducing the organization, giving some history about it. This year's CBRP video is it's kind of an answer to Michigan's 8 minutes on how to become a bluebirder. So it's how to put in nest boxes in like 8 minutes. So it's great. So that's gonna, like they said, be dropped on Monday. And then I want to mention the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District's video is really cool. It's about bats, and I thought they did a great job on it. So if you get a chance to watch that, this was really cool. And then another thing that we're working on is with the North American Bluebird Society. They have a bunch of pamphlets out there, and it's kind of East United States oriented, because they talk about, even when they talk about Western bluebirds, they say you want to make your nest boxes out of cedar. And we don't have a lot of cedar in our stores. So what we're trying to do is to make it so that they're
listening to the Bluebird monitor.
What was that? We're trying to make it so that their pamphlets are a little bit more make more sense to those of us here in the West. So so anyway, that's a cool thing that we're working on. And there's Eric Fromers, he's in the audience, that's his photo. And then Georgette, you're up. You're still muted, I think. Georgette.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So I jotted down some notes so I stay organized. And first, I'd like to thank Carolyn and the Santa Clara Audubon Society for hosting the CBRP monitoring meeting, end of season. And thank all of you for coming. I think it's great that all of you took the time to show up, and because we are getting, we're generating more awareness, and that I think next year we're going to have even more people show up. Traditionally throughout the years, we've actually been very quiet. And early this year, quiet in the sense that we haven't really strived to generate publicity for ourselves, or we've just been out there in the trail for 24 years. So early this year, we realized that after 24 years of having this nest box program and reporting an average of about 17,000 successful fledges every year since 1984, there's no better time than to reach out. So in January, we contacted every single Audubon society in California. And we did so on an individual basis. We studied their newsletters, we looked at their programs, and Tricia Nolan and I did this, and there are 46 of them. And we wanted to not only get to know them, but we wanted to let them know that, hey, if you want to start your own nest box program, we're here. We can help you do that. And we can offer presentations, we can offer coaching, and work with them to attract nest box monitors and their own programs. And naturally, we want their data so that we can compile their data with us as CBRP. Well, 6 chapters already have nest box programs, and 6 that don't responded. So this is going to be a process, and we will be helping them as needed and as time goes on. Now, there are other programs that involve cavity nesters like saw-whets, tree swallows, burrowing owls. So some of the other Audubons do have those types of monitoring programs, but of course, you know, we really want them to jump on board with us with the group that we help the most, which is the bluebirds and the smaller birds. Okay. So we gave Stanislaus Audubon Society, they were one of the ones that responded to us, a presentation, and President Sal Salerno connected us with Audubon California, who, by the way, didn't know anything about us. And I've been involved in Audubon Advocacy Day now for some years, and they still didn't know who we were. So that goes to show how quiet we've been for what, quarter of a century. So they were really impressed. They thought, hey, you know, these guys they're a small group. They've been around for almost 25 years, and here they are reporting all this data of 17,000 successful birds. I think it's like almost 500,000 birds. So they said, you know, we'd like to help you. So they're giving us a chance to work with them, and they will be helping raise awareness about the program statewide. As a result, in January, we will be offering a statewide virtual training for new monitors, as well as personal coaching. Now, this training, we're going to be advertising and marketing to get signups. Okay, so we will have that opportunity pretty soon. So if you know of anyone who is interested in becoming a nest box monitor, please let them know. We will have a training program in January, and just check www.cbrp.org for details in late November. So thanks.
You want to mention the personal coaching? What does that mean?
Well, I do this a lot. Personal coaching, I do it a lot every year, especially at the beginning of the season. Let's say that a new nest box monitor is confused about, you know, whether or not the birds or a pair is doing the right thing, or maybe they're afraid there are crows hanging around. They'll call me and they'll say, well, what should I do? And then I give them advice. And I've done this for years. Some people I've coached as many as 3 seasons in a row. Some people I only coach maybe 2 or 3 times. But it's a lot of fun. It's very effective. And it's a great way, you know, to help a new monitor figure things out.
I think even when we're far away, like one of the things Lee Pauser has gotten really good at doing was they tell him where they were thinking about putting in nest boxes, or in his case, a lot of times it's barn owl boxes, and he'd actually go to Google Earth and he'd look where they were talking about, and he'd say, oh, you know, you're going to want to do it this way, and I see problems over here and stuff like that. So sometimes you can even do it when you're way far away from.
Yeah. In fact, Lee did that for me at
Yeah.
my community garden
Well,
because we wanted owl boxes, yes, and he went to the trouble of getting it all done and everything. And unfortunately, board members didn't like where he said to put the owl boxes.
well,
So we didn't do it, but
you're
I
not
know
gonna-
his, huh?
You're not going to find better mentor than Lee.
And I
got
told him that.
one
so-
more subject for you.
Okay, so this particular guide was written by Myrna Pearman. Now, she's been around for many years. She knew Don Yoder, and she has her own website, and she's a biologist and outgoing director she's a retired biologist and outgoing director for Ellis Bird Farm in Alberta, Canada. Now she's published some books. She's got her own website and everything. This is one of them. They specialize in mountain bluebirds in that part of the world. And she also has a fabulous children's activity book. Well, she's in the process of writing a book for teenagers. And so she emailed us, or she contacted us at CBRP and said, hey, I really need photos. She wants photos of young people in action. And she also wants bluebird photos. So of course we have to get, permission forms signed by photographers, and whether they're adults or whether they are parents, to make sure that, it's okay for us to have their photos published. So if you are interested in having one of your photos possibly, published in in her next book, just let us know. And then, we can, in fact, just email us at info@cbrp.org.
All right. So this is one of the photos that I took when I went with Georgette to watch the Boy Scouts put up some nest boxes. And where was that? That was
It was at a great place. Brad Rose is the monitor of Boundary Oaks Golf Course in Walnut Creek, and it is an Autobot certified golf course. And Rohan Gandhi, the young man here with the flag on his shirt, with his uniform on, is the Eagle Scout candidate. And the gentleman, the young man on the other side is Trevor Fong, and he is one of the troop, members, and he's helping Rohan with his project.
So this is an action photo. It's, it's not just, people standing around the nest box smiling. And the reason I wanted to show this is because we need more photos, more action photos. I mentioned that we're doing all these training sessions, and with the training sessions, it's good to have photos of all different manner of things. Opening the boxes, of having people, and some, you can actually take videos with your camera phone, or if you are bringing your actual camera out, and a lot of times they'll take video and stuff like that. All these things could really be used when we're putting together these the slideshows for training, actual videos. There's a lot of photos that we used in the video that we submitted to the Wildlife and Harvest Festival, and things like that. And we need more photos. In addition, the CBRP, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and we're trying to get our Instagram going. So we need more photos and things like that of what's going on out on the trail. And so if you can help us out by, taking photos, submitting them to us, you can submit them to us directly at Facebook, or our Facebook page, or you can just email us. So,
Mike,
yes,
and Georgette,
yes.
my name is not correct on my screen here. That's my husband. I'm Susan Bolger.
Oh, hey, Susan.
Hey, Susan.
Yeah, Southern California. And
Yes.
I wonder, that picture that now is not on the screen of those two boys,
Yes.
do you have a way keep ants out of there and raccoons and snakes?
Oh, I know what she's doing. Trees. Oh, you
Right.
didn't put the, I know what she's saying. Now, we do promote the idea of putting hanging nest boxes. And so the problem in this case is that I don't think we can do anything else other than mount them on trees.
Right, because that's what the Boundary Oaks golf course is allowing. Now, Susan, if you look at the picture, you'll see that we're using a knoll guard.
Yeah, I see that.
And
That-
and on this particular golf course, as well as the Rossmore golf course, where there are like 75 boxes on trees, because they won't allow poles either. There's a very small predation rate, very small.
Oh, well, that's good. You know, every part of the state will be different.
Yes, it's true.
But down here in Orange County, we have a lot of ants, Argentine
Oh.
ants. And
Okay.
they go up the trees and they want to come down the hooks, up our hanging boxes have hooks and down and into the nest. So we can't allow that. And so it's shocking to me to see this sort of setup.
Right. Yeah. And believe it, you'll be happy to know that Georgette and I actually had the same conversation. Because we were literally looking at this and we were saying, do we really want to promote the idea of putting them on trees? And you know, and unfortunately, like I said, that there are the times when you're going to do that is when you kind of have no other alternative.
Right, and
Right. Have
we
you
in this part in our area, we don't have the extreme problems with ants now, and that's not saying that we haven't, and we have methods to push them back, and to control them. We do have our methods, but we don't have, I think, the same pressures that you guys have down there. And actually, like I said, very, very low predation rate. At Rossmore Golf Course, 75 boxes, I don't know, maybe one or two, problems where a raccoon has come by and yanked the predator guard down. Very low predation rates. So that's why we do it. That's why we do it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it at all.
Whenever I do my training, I always talk about, what's going on in the tree, and I use Bette Zimmerman's picture where she says, so is this a mouse house or is this a raccoon feeder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but believe me, we completely understand. And like I said, we don't, I wanted to show what an action photo was like, but we are, cognizant of the fact that, we don't necessarily want to, that's part of the problem. See, we don't have a lot of these kind of photos where they're putting them on pole mounted boxes.
And do you use the hanging boxes at all in your areas?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Lee Pauser, who's going to be talking soon, he does. Lee is commenting that we can use food grade diatomaceous earth for any control, and we do that. We use diatomaceous earth, and I use tanglefoot. Some people don't like to use tanglefoot, but I use it around the bottom or the crevices and stuff like that under the box where I know the birds aren't going to touch it. I will use those I will use it if I have to.
Yeah,
So-
I use tanglefoot on the hook.
Okay.
So as it's coming down and has a vertical part, this way and a little vertical, and then it's down to the box. I put a little chenille pipe cleaner right around that vertical part of the hook and the tanglefoot there, keeping the ants from coming down the tree. But it is very tricky. You have to be careful doing that.
I know it is very tricky. All of this is very tricky. And I think that it's important for us to, acknowledge all these different scenarios. And thank you for bringing it up, because Mike and I did talk about that, because my preference is poles, and Lee and you, for obvious reasons, prefer the hanging boxes. So
So we need to move on, but Sue, I'm delighted to see you because
yeah,
Sue is from the Southern California Bluebird Club, and I wasn't sure if we were going to get anybody from there, so I'm really glad to see you. And believe me, we're taking your advice to heart.
yes,
So
It's
anyway,
one of our big challenges, that's for sure.
yeah.
yes.
Okay. So let's see. The next thing I wanted to do was to have. Let me see if I can go to the next slide here. Trisha, did you want to do you want to show your if I stop showing, if I stop I'm going to stop sharing now, and Trisha, if you could go ahead and share your screen.
Yes, okay.
Let me know if you have any problems. If oh, excellent, you're able to do it.
Okay. Okay, so I wanted to, well, I guess we all wanted me to talk about Wild Farm Alliance. I wrote an article in our last newsletter about this. It's an organization located in Watsonville. Are you all seeing this?
Yes.
Okay, good. And they've been around for about 20 years. And what they do is they work with farms and vineyards in trying to keep wild nature alive. So they encourage hedgerows on the farms and in the vineyards. They encourage as much wild nature around the farm as possible. And this last year, I talked to a local vineyard about monitoring their boxes. And I learned about Wild Farm Alliance because Wild Farm Alliance had some bluebird boxes or some bird boxes up there. And what Wild Farm Alliance does as well is they want to help farmers grow more organically. And so they actually put in bird boxes in the farms and the vineyards to encourage birds to come in and eat pests that harm whatever's growing on the farm. So we talked with them, and what we're trying to do, we feel like this could be a really nice symbiosis in that they're putting boxes out there on these farms. When I first talked to them, they had about 158 boxes. They now have 462 boxes. And they have no one to, they have no one to monitor them. They're just a small nonprofit. And so I took over one of the vineyards that they have here, and it was a wonderful experience. At that time, there were 46 boxes there. All but 4 of them were used. I had 214 nestlings and 194 fledglings at the vineyard. It was really a wonderful experience. So let me go on to this other slide here. Okay, are you seeing a new slide?
Not yet.
Same.
So you're not seeing one that has a bunch of ovals on it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we do. That's what we've been looking at the whole time.
Oh, it is. Oh, I had another slide up. I thought you were saying, okay. All right. Okay. So this one, it shows all the counties that we have monitors in. We've got 24 counties. They're the ones with the blue ovals. So everything over on the left side of that chart. And the whole thing has a blue border around it. And those are counties with CBRP monitors. On the right side, those are counties that are surrounded by an orange rectangle. Those are counties where Wild Farm Alliance has farms or vineyards where they've installed boxes. And the intersection there are ones where we have both, where we have monitors in that county, and we have, there are farms that have boxes. And the one on the right that has the orange outline for the oval, those are counties where they have boxes, but we don't have any monitors.
I see.
So the one that has the Santa Clara that has the dashed, that is the only place where we have a Wild Farm Alliance vineyard that has a monitor, a weekly monitor. That's me. And what we'd like to do is, well, two things. One is go see if we can get monitors to go to these farms or vineyards in these counties that you see on the right and monitor the boxes each week. And would have a double benefit. One is we have all the benefits that we normally have in monitoring. Helps the birds. We get out and are able to be out with birds. And it also helps the farmer grow more organically. And one of the things I learned this year that was really nice is I got to learn a bit about vineyards. And that was very enjoyable. So, okay, so if anybody is interested in this, please contact me. You can use the info@cbrp.org, and it will go to all the board members. And in your email, just put Tricia, so we all know which person you're sending it to.
All
Okay,
right.
that's
All
it.
done? All right.
Yes.
So if you stop sharing, I can start mine up again. Cool. And hopefully mine will start working now that, oh, come on. Let's see. Hang on. Maybe I should just open it. Okay, so we had a little issue where somebody started sending emails pretending they were Dick and asking things like, are you free? And the idea was eventually they'd ask you to start sending them gift cards or something like that. So if you get an email like that, it's not legitimate. We never send out requests like that. So I just wanted to make sure we brought that up in here. I want to talk about real quick about purple martins. Purple martins are a cavity nesting bird in California. They're actually not as common as they probably ought to be. In fact, unfortunately, they're not really using man-made nest boxes at this time. There's been just a few cases where they have. I think there was an example in Napa County, and then a bunch of them up in Humboldt County. But the rest of the state, really, they're just using holes in telephone poles. I'm working with Dan Irola, who's a scientist and biologist, trying to, and he's been working for a couple of decades on trying to solve the problem of the purple martin. Unfortunately, it's not something that I can just say, hey, let's put up nest boxes for them. They've actually got lots of places to nest in Sacramento because they can nest underneath these bridges. They have these chambers under the bridges. And unfortunately, what's happening is their population is still crashing. We think it has to do with neonicotinoid pesticides. that are killing their food supply. So I'm still working on it. At some point, when we've solved the problem and gotten them to move into nest boxes, then that's when I will suddenly show up and say, hey guys, we need to put up nest boxes and here's how to do it. Now this is the Santa Clara County, the results so far. So this is what Dick just gave me from all of the stuff, all of the results that he's received so far this year. Now, he actually closes the books in December, like December 2nd. So December 1st or 2nd, something like that. We try and send out a notice to everybody by email as far as when he's actually going to stop taking data, and then he'll go ahead and crunch all the numbers again. But he's crunched them for Santa Clara County because, like I said, that's kind of what this whole thing was. I kind of distilled it right down here. Want to talk about some of these species. So American Kestrel, so far in 2021, we've had 51 fledges, and I know Lee has a big part of this. And asteroided flycatchers 56. That's really cool. Buick's wrens, we had 6 so far. Now,
down.
What's that?
They're down.
They're down. If you
So
look
far, you haven't gotten all your records in yet.
we
So.
haven't, but these are also preliminary.
Okay.
So in other words, these are all what was submitted by September. So it is down. Absolutely, it's down for Buick's wrens.
Yeah. Okay.
Barn owls looks really good.
It's really
Burrowing owls, that's a new one, right?
That is a new one. That's
Dick,
exciting.
where did the burrowing owls come from?
They came from a gentleman by the name of Charlie Fredericks, whom I do not know.
Well, that's really cool. So, so burrowing owls, I consider them an honorary cavity nester because they're cavities in the ground. So,
Yeah.
I think they count. Then the chestnut-backed chickadee, it's doesn't look like they were doing okay back in 2018, 2019. I think this whole COVID thing, for some reason, maybe it's just a matter of we're not hitting the marks where the people were getting them in previous years. Downy woodpeckers, of course, that's never going to be a really big one. European starlings, I'm kind of distressed to see that we actually let 12 of them get through. Hopefully that won't happen again. And then house finches, I'd love to know where those were nesting. I know they require a 2-inch hole if they're going to use a nest box, but I don't think they usually use nest boxes. House sparrow, that's the number I like to see, 0. House wrens, obviously that's a low number.
Way down, way down.
Yeah, way down. Mountain bluebirds. Now, again, this is Santa Clara County. Hopefully other counties have better numbers for mountain bluebirds.
Yeah.
I don't think that we get much in the way of nesting mountain bluebirds, so that's not really much of a surprise. Northern flicker, we didn't have any this year. Nuttall's woodpecker. Now, I actually had Nuttall's woodpecker, and I think I missed the deadline to get counted in the preliminary, so that's why you didn't see last year's Nuttall's woodpeckers on my trail. But it just shows that we don't have any this year. Oak titmouse, looks like we're actually doing pretty good this year.
Yeah.
Then the oak titmouse, let's see, I already talked about those. Red-breasted nuthatchet, unfortunately nothing this year. They're never a big year for them. Tree swallows, that's a bad year for tree swallows.
It's a bad year, yeah.
Yeah. And then violet green swallows, they're not, I don't know what to say about those numbers. We don't have as much upland, so I think obviously it looks like we get more tree swallows in Santa Clara. The white-breasted nuthatch, I'm glad to see every time I see those because I don't get them very much on my trail. Western bluebird, obviously that's about average, looks like. Western screech owl, again, looks like another Lee contribution probably. And then wood ducks. And so I think the problem is that, between last year and this year, this COVID thing has just really thrown us for a loop. So unfortunately, I don't think that we're gonna do great things for when we have COVID around. So I wanted to do stories from the Bluebird Trail. And hey, Lee, did you want to tell us about what you've got going on? I'll stop sharing right now. Still muted. There
All
you go.
right, let me do a share screen here. So what I'm going to show you is my nesting results and some trends that I've seen comparing to other years. So in 2021, these are the species that I had and the numbers of eggs, numbers of hatchlings, numbers of fledglings. And you, Mike, have already mentioned one thing. You'll see that house wrens are missing. For the first time, I have not had any house wrens. And I think you mentioned house sparrows. I also have a couple of zeros here. But interestingly, on a couple of nearby trails that I gave away and used to produce a lot of bluebirds, I've been unable to contact the monitor. And the reason I wanted to contact him is my wife, Jenna, is a birder, and she was out on one of the trails, and she says a lot of the nest boxes have house sparrows nesting in them. So anyway, in that particular area, what used to be a lot of bluebirds is now house sparrows. And I'm suspecting that the monitor was unable to monitor the boxes and control the house sparrows. So starting on the left here, we have kestrels. It was a good year for kestrels, actually. Ash-throated flycatchers did very well. Barn owls, surprisingly not too bad. But my statistics on barn owls are the worst of any species because I'm never really able to see exactly how many eggs there were, exactly how many eggs hatched.
Hey, Lee.
Yeah.
Perry was asking, what's the yellow bar? He said,
The yellow bar is the number of broods.
Thank you.
So 22 broods for the barn owls, 48 fledged. Bewick's wren, I just had one nest with Bewick's wren. Chickadees, I only had one. That number is down also. Northern flickers, as too often happens, I find eggs, but the eggs disappear. Oak titmice did actually quite well. The big problem area was the tree swallows. So I had 243 broods of tree swallow eggs, 1,053 eggs. Many of the eggs hatched, but only 480 fledged. So this yellow diamond here, for example, shows you if you're a tree swallow egg in one of my boxes, what is the likelihood that you're going to fledge? And in this case here, it's less than 50%. So tree swallows did not have a good year. Violet green swallows, you talked about those, and there's one park. It's a hill with an open woodland. That's where I find my violet green swallows. White-breasted nuthatch did quite well, as they always do. And webelos, western bluebirds, I had 813 eggs, 177 clutches, which is down. 741 hatched, which is a pretty good hatch rate, but I lost a lot of the nestlings, only 519 fledged. Western screech owl, they generally do very well. I've only had one lost one nestling a couple of years ago. And wood ducks, I actually had a couple of second broods for the wood ducks. So that's what I experienced in 2021, fledged 1,313. Last year I fledged, I think it was 1,742.
So Jack Carter is saying the drought is probably reducing the bird populations due to a population crash of insects.
Yes, that's what I'm seeing in my tree swallows.
See, and
And I have another graph that'll show you, talk more about tree swallows. So this graph here, what it shows is the nesting season. The solid colors are by species, how many eggs I had in a box. So this is tree swallows. On a particular day, how many eggs did I have in the box? The solid blue here is Western bluebirds. And then when I change to shaded colors, this is the time that I have nestlings. So these are tree swallow nestlings. These are Western bluebird nestlings. They have a very long nesting cycle because they can have double clutches. So the nesting season began way over here on March 9th when some bird, probably a chickadee or oak titmouse, laid an egg. And here we have the violet green swallows coming in, violet green swallow eggs. And the season was over near the end of July. It peaked first half of May. Now this season peak has actually been moving to the left. It's getting earlier and earlier. It used to be the second half of May, now it's the first half of May. So these are the passerines, and I have a similar chart for the larger birds, barn owls, etc. So I had barn owl eggs on February 6th. These are barn owl eggs here, barn owl outlets, and kestrels. These are the kestrels, kestrel eggs, kestrel chicks. Wood ducks, I actually, these are wood duck eggs. I actually had a couple of clutches. So this, within 24 hours, they fledged. So this bump here is when they fledged.
okay, hey, I'm gonna hold on to Perry's first question. And Ronnie K asks, are you able to determine what is happening to the young tree swallows? And have you ever been able to set up a nest cam to see what is going on?
No, I've never set up a nest cam, but as far as tree swallows, let me defer that question until I get to the tree swallow chart here.
Okay.
So my kestrels, I said, did very well. So all of this is all of the years that I've been working with kestrels since 2010. And the yellow in this case is the number of boxes that I have. So in 2010, I started with 6 boxes, went to 13, 17, 21, etc., down to 18, and now I'm up to 19 boxes. So the number of boxes changes, which affects the overall results. But the kestrels did quite well this year. I had 51 eggs and 48 hatched, 48 fledged. And I was surprised because we're dealing with a drought, a severe drought. The best year was way back in 2017. I had 67 eggs and 58 fledged. So this red dash line here indicates if you are a kestrel egg, over all these years, what is the average success rate? And it's a little over 50%. This year, I did very well. I had, if you're a kestrel egg in my box, you had a 65, 66% chance of fledging. Did very well. So overall, it's kind of a narrow band when you're talking about percentages here. They generally do quite well with some variations. When we move down into bluebirds, you can't see the title. I think this is bluebirds here.
Yeah, weevil success.
Yeah, something else is covering up the chart title. So again, what we see since 2002, I've been working with bluebirds, and these lines here have to do with percentages again. The green line is if you're a bluebird egg, what are your chances of fledging? And we go up and down over the years. For all of those years, it's about a 68, 69% chance that you're going to fledge. But this year, I had over 800 eggs. I'm trying to find my mouse pointer. I had over 800 eggs and over 700 hatched, but I lost a lot of nestlings here. So same problem that the tree swallows were having, the Western bluebirds had to a lesser degree. So again, I can't see the title. I think I'm talking about tree swallows.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so tree swallows had a horrible year. I had fewer eggs. My mouse pointer keeps disappearing. So I had fewer eggs. The eggs that hatched, it was actually quite well. I had quite a few nestlings. But then I lost so many nestlings. There's my mouse pointer. So here's the number of fledglings that I had, around 500 fledglings. And it's a long ways from the number of eggs that hatched. And what happened? Well, what I noticed is, for example, I come out some days, if it's windy, we had periods of windy weather. I think there was almost a week of windy weather. You go out there, and if you're a tree swallow flirting about trying to find an insect, you're probably not going to find one in the wind. So I had a lot of starvation, I think, because of the tree swallows simply couldn't feed. The bluebirds do better because they hunt insects on the ground. If it's windy weather, the insects stay down, the bluebirds can probably still find them, but the tree swallows can't. And then once we get into the hotter weather, I believe the insect population just collapses. And one year I had, I think about 12 boxes of tree swallows still with nestlings. And the Wildlife Center gave me one tree swallow nestling to re-nest. And I said, sure, I can do it. I went out there. Everybody in the box was dead. There weren't any adults flying around. There was nothing to feed on. And that was after a period of several days of high temperatures. So tree swallows are really affected by whatever affects the prey base much more than the weedlings.
Lee,
Yes.
I have a question about this. Since you have a certain number of fledglings and then later you have about half of them fledge or so, do you find usually the dead bodies or are they just gone?
No, it's usually the dead bodies. And it's really sad and heartbreaking because you look in a nest and the birds are just waiting there to be fed. They're all lined up, in a circle, wanting to be fed, and they're all dead. And an indication that that's what I'm going to find is when I'm going about, I don't see any adults flying around. So the adults have left because they have to feed themselves.
Yeah, gosh.
So it's very, very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I've tried to supplement the food with bluebirds. I can feed them mealworms, and I use dried mealworms, which I rehydrate. And I've started actually putting them inside the box. So the bluebirds can feed on the supplemental food. I read one time, I searched one time, what can you do for tree swallows? How can you feed tree swallows? And someone listed a recipe made up of nuts and a number of other things. So I made some of that and put it on top of a box. And it was so bad that even the flies didn't bother it. So it did not work. So I have no way of feeding tree swallows unless you can stand there and throw insects up in the air. So it's a real tragedy.
Yeah.
Now, we saw, if we look way back here in 2019, here we see a similar case where we have a lot of eggs, a lot of the eggs hatch, but wow, look at how many fledged. What happened there is near the end of May, we had about a week of storms and we had high winds, rains. If it wasn't raining, it was going to threatening to rain. And a lot of nestlings again died. The adults could not feed them.
I remember that. That was all over the county.
Yeah, I went out to check my boxes after the storms, and I found more than 250 dead nestlings in the boxes.
Oh,
so from box to box to box. And if they weren't dead, some of them were so weak, I knew that the next time I came back next week, they would be dead. And that was often the case. So if I found all the nestlings dead, I removed the nest, came back the next week, and the tree swallows were already building new nests, and some of them already had eggs. So tree swallows don't take much time to have their second clutch, whereas bluebirds typically, they fledge, their juveniles follow them around for a while, and then it may take 2 weeks before they start building another nest.
Okay, we have a bunch of questions for you actually. Do you mind if, did you have other birds we're going to talk about too?
Well, I think I have one more chart here on
All right.
tree swallows. So this has to do with tree swallows, and what I looked at is the last 3 years, comparing the tree swallows to bluebirds. So let's look at the lines first. This gray line at the top here with 1496. This gray line is tree swallow total eggs. So in 2019, I had 1,496 eggs. 2020, you can see it's coming down. In 2021, it's down even more. So it's a steeper decline than this orange line, which is the bluebirds. So bluebirds went from 966 eggs to 863 to 813, but the decline isn't as steep. And if, what is this here? So the numbers, and this was the number of broods here. So this line here is the number of tree swallow broods, again on the decline. And the orange line is the number of bluebird broods. So again, on the decline. So over these 3 years, we see declining numbers. But the reason I generated this chart here is because I also look at the average clutch size and the median clutch size. So the green bar here is the average number of, I have too many greens here. So anyway, yeah, I have too many greens. I'm unsure which green. I think this is tree swallow here. So tree swallow average eggs was 5. Bluebird average eggs is 5 in 2019. And again, 5 and 5 in 2020. However, in 2021, the median tree size clutch went down to 4. So they're laying fewer eggs. If they can't get enough prey, they're going to lay fewer eggs. So that's another reason for the decline, is simply fewer eggs.
Okay, so if you don't mind, if I jump into some of these questions real quick. Perry had asked, will the website have info on nest boxes for all these different species? I'm not sure if he asked that back when I was talking about the big chart that had like all those different species. And yeah, we're gonna try and have it so that not just bluebirds, but pretty much all these different species, you'll be able to go on the website and figure out what to do in order to put up nest boxes for any of them. That is the goal for what we're hoping to have eventually. And if you have any, Trish responded and pointed out, if you have any requests, if you think there's any suggestions, don't hesitate to let us know. Then let's see, Francis asked, where's Lee located? And you're South San Jose, Almaden, that area, right?
Yeah, yes.
Then Christine points out, hey, Lee, horrible year for tree swallows down here in Southern California too, but I haven't had a chance to tally the numbers yet. And then Ronnie K said, Lee, are all of the boxes located in non-irrigated settings?
No. My largest trail with over 200 boxes is Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. So the advantage of the golf club is I get to ride around in a cart. They check in the boxes very easily. But that golf club is also where I get the most tree swallows. And the nice thing about the club is it has 3 small lakes. So I'm always hoping that because there's so much water there, that there will be more insects. I have a second golf club with 50, 60 some boxes on it, and I get my most bluebirds there. So it's my bluebird factory. Cinnabar Hills is my tree swallow factory. I do have some boxes that are out in open grassland, unmaintained orchards, some city parks. So it's quite a variety of habitats that I'm in.
Tricia pointed out the 3 days over 100 degrees weather are also hurt second batch nestlings in the area, her area, or I guess in our area. And then Eric was asking if you could show the Weeble curve again. Donna says, great meeting. Ronnie said, did you see cases where fledglings were missing from the tree swallow box? We had 3 missing and assumed it was competition from Western Bluebirds as we saw competition. We would like to understand what other ways babies go missing from the nest.
Well, if you directed the question to me, I can take a shot at it.
But go for it.
Missing nestlings, we have the house wren, and the male house wren can come into a nest box, puncture the eggs with its beak, leaving a small hole. They will remove eggs, they will remove nestlings. So that's one possibility. Snakes might be another possibility. If a snake can get up to the box, they can devour anything in the box, eggs, nestlings. I'm trying to think about, generally I find the nestlings dead. If the nestlings are, and there's another case where nestlings can go missing, and that if the hatchling dies and it's small enough, the adults can remove it from the box. One of the cases where the monitor can become invaluable is if you open up a box and you find a dead nestling, but it's so old and big that the adults cannot get it out of the box. So this is an opportunity for monitors to really intervene and take the dead nestling out of the box. If you don't, especially in periods of hot weather, everything in the box it just turn to soup, and you'll have maggots and flies coming in and out of the box. So I hope that helps. I don't know if that answered all of the question.
I'm sure. Joan says that her results are similar to yours in her Santa Clara County boxes in the uplands, way down on violet green swallows and to a lesser extent bluebird hatchlings also not making it. Also suspect it is drought and food supply related. The violet green swallows always go last and there was just not much food left. Ronnie K said might need to release fruit flies near the tree swallow nests, cheap and fast to produce, and of course they fly. I don't know that they're going to put out enough nutrition, but I guess it can't hurt. Ronnie K, Joan said it might be a snake. Do you find a difference in the number of tree swallow babies surviving on the golf courses?
Well, Cinnabar Hills Golf Club is my tree swallow factory. So I also get bluebirds down there, but what's happened over the years is the tree swallows have been coming in earlier and earlier. It used to be that tree swallows would come back after migration when the bluebird nestlings, when the bluebird adults had bluebird nestlings in the boxes. These are first clutch. So the tree swallows would come in, they would find many of the boxes occupied by Western bluebirds. We have nestlings in the boxes. But now what's happened over time is the tree swallows are coming back earlier and earlier, and they are actually competing for the nest boxes. So you'll see pairs of bluebirds and tree swallows fighting over boxes. The thing about tree swallows is you may see 2 pairs of tree swallows fighting over the boxes. Well, hang another tree swallow box. I have a couple of trees that have 3 boxes in the trees. A couple of years ago, I had been down to my trail at Clara Reservoir, and I saw, I already had a box with the Western bluebirds in it, and the box that tree swallows are fighting over. So I hung a 3rd box in the tree, and the tree swallows occupied both of the 2 other boxes. So tree swallows, if you see competition, you can address it by putting up another box. If you see bluebirds fighting over a box, put in a nearby box you don't want to do. You want to have some distance between them because they're territorial. I used to think that bluebirds were the sweetest little bird. They wouldn't hurt me, they wouldn't hurt anybody. But over the years, I've seen cases where I open up a box. I knew that a nest was being built by a female weeble, and there's a weeble dead on the side of her nest with another female in the box building a nest over her dead body. So bluebirds can become pretty vicious fighting over boxes. And that was a total shock to me.
Wow. Okay, well, Lee, thank you very much. And now we want to move on. Georgette, did you? Yeah. Oh, gotta get that in. Georgette, do you have slides to show, or did you want to just talk? You're muted. You're muted, Georgette. There you go.
Oh, thanks. I wish I knew. I need to learn how to do that, Mike. I'll have to practice because I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to share slides.
But you do know how to tell us about how things went, though.
Well, in Contra Costa County, we don't have all of our data in yet. But the ones that we do have a lot, well, at my trail, one of my trails, which is now split with another monitor because it's a pretty large area. It's 925 acres. It's the Lafayette Reservoir. And Dr. Frommer knows where it is. And one side of the reservoir I kept with Tom Gary, and the other side of the reservoir, we asked Tim McClintock to take it over. And he also monitors the Moraga Old Christmas Tree Trail. Well, he said his numbers were down at the Moraga Christmas Tree Trail. I don't have his numbers. And then at the Lafayette Reservoir, it was really interesting because his side of the reservoir didn't have any bluebirds at all. And we usually have, quite a few nests on that side. He had none. He had all tree swallows. And then on our side of the reservoir, we have quite a few western bluebird nests, very few deaths, and tree swallows as well. So at the Lafayette Reservoir, we've had mostly tree swallows, which we've never had. We have always had more western bluebirds. We didn't have any ash-throated flycatchers. We didn't have any other species. So that was also very, very unusual because we usually have chickadees, we usually have oak titmice, none. We had none. Okay, and then on my other trail, which is a smaller trail, we had only 2 nests, and that's pretty bad, but the good news is we had the largest oak titmouse nest that we've ever had, and it was 10 hatchlings that fledged. I mean, we were shocked. Has anybody ever had a nest that big of oak titmice? Well, anyway.
I had 10 eggs many years ago, but I don't remember how many fledged.
Oh my gosh, all of these guys fledged. I mean, we put mealworms out thinking that the parents might need them. The parents completely ignored them. Remember what you said, you have to train them? Well, we didn't know how to train them, so we just put them out there and they ignored them. And we were shocked. Every single baby fledged, and we could see them playing in the trees. So that was a big thrill. That was a big thrill. And then in Walnut Creek, the Walnut Creek team shows that, okay, they have 11 trails in Walnut Creek. And they show that this year they had 263 fledges, and last year 400. And where they were down is mostly the ash-throated flycatchers, house wrens, none. And last year they had 46. And no Buick's wrens, mostly just, the bluebirds, actually, mostly bluebirds. So, so there's, there's an indication there. And in Contra Costa County, we had a lot going on. We had 3 Eagle Scout candidates this year. Actually 4. I'm working with one more, but he's not doing a nest box project. We're revitalizing a California quail habitat. And Dick said, not doing that one. So I'm doing that one on my own. But the Lafayette Briones Trail that Dr. Frommer monitors with his son Ben had an Eagle Scout candidate, Jennifer Bowers. She was our very first female girl Eagle Scout. And Ivan Pina, he created a new nest box trail in Point Pinole, and that was really hard work for those kids, and just working with the city of Pinole and going through all the paperwork. And then we had Rohan Gandhi, and you saw his photo, and he put in 10 new boxes at Boundary Oaks, and there were already quite a few boxes there. So I think overall we had a very good year in Contra Costa County, and we'll see what our final numbers show.
Well, thanks for your report and for struggling through, because I know you're sick. But you sounded pretty good to me.
Thanks.
So Carrie was asking is there any assessment as to which species are in greatest need of having nest boxes provided? Yeah,
I'll answer.
please do.
Well, I personally think we need to have more boxes in chickadee and oak titmouse habitats. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I put out a nest box trail, I mostly think about bluebirds. And I know if the trail is by water, tree swallows are going to show up. But I do think chickadees and oak titmice need some help. And so that's my thought anyway.
I'll bet you're right. And then Carolyn said the biggest oak titmouse nest I think I've ever had was 6. And Joan said the same. So I'm gonna try and aim for 10 more minutes. Let's see.
Okay.
I know, let me go back up to the beginning real quick. Donna said she's new from Lake County, and let's see, Joan said that she was in the middle of dinner, but she was definitely way fewer chestnut back chickadees on the St. Nicholas Trail this year. Donna said bluebird monitoring is new to so many Lake County residents. She said, I've started with trainings and a trail at one of the land trust properties with 17 successful boxes monitored with tree swallows, western bluebirds, and 1 Ashland flycatcher with lots of natural cavity nests in the oaks.
Lake County is.
Thank you for being on such an important cause, especially with the fire taking so many oaks. Yes.
Now, okay, since you're in Lake County, isn't that where Redbud Autobot is? Right?
Well, I don't.
Is she gone? Is she gone already?
I don't know if she is or not. And then let's see. Francis said, "Please let us know the." Oh, she was taken care of. Let's see. Carolyn put the URL for the Wildlife Festival video. Their videos. Our video isn't up yet, so it'll be up on Monday. But that mid-pen video about bats, that's up, and that's really cool. And then there was some suggestions on using the ant guards, such as they use on hummingbird feeders on your hanging nest boxes. And Lee was mentioning the diatomaceous earth, also for ants. Joan said, I was way down on violet green swallows up at Rancho San Antonio this year. And in addition, chestnut chickadees dipped at the school. And I think I'm all caught up. Oh, there's one new message. Let me see. Oh, I agree, Georgette. That was Joan. So I think we had a successful meeting. We literally had up to 30 people, believe it or not. And I was afraid we weren't going to get, above 20. And when it first started, I was thinking we might be stuck with 6. So, oh, Beverly, did you have anything to say? You're a coordinator.
With our parks, we had problems with COVID due to closures. So some of our monitors couldn't get into the parks, or the park, like my park was partially closed, but I was able to get access. Some of the parks we couldn't get into. So this year they're going to let us back in. So that was a factor. And we're going to have our meeting, our coordinator, for us, just for our county, we're going to have like a picnic for us to talk about things and to, volunteer appreciation, so we can all talk together and see. We're going to have that in November. So we're going to get, to all talk to each other and see what is going on in our county with our specific trails. But that's a lot of the feedback I was getting, was the fact that we couldn't get into some parks. So we don't have that data, because they said we can't come in and we're not going to monitor them for you. So that data was cut off from our program completely for this year. But now that things are opening back up, next season, we should be seeing, normal numbers again.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Sue.
Do you have any feedback from box results in the fire areas? Did we lose a lot of territory, or was it in other areas than our work?
It sounds like a Dick question. Oh, Dick Blaine.
Yeah, Susan, I have no idea. I have not seen any information that would help me answer your question. All I can say, when you see the annual report, or if you look right now at the data collection spreadsheet, you'll see that our numbers are much lower than they were prior to the pandemic. We're well below 2017-18, and I think we've picked up a bit from last year, where a whole lot of trails were closed. I was surprised to hear Beverly say that trails are still closed in her county, because I'm not aware of trails being closed in Santa Clara County.
It seems like it's shocking that a park would be closed.
You bet.
They definitely did it though. We, in Santa Clara County at least, we don't seem to have any park closures impacting monitors anymore, but that first year, park access was severely restricted. So last year, at least our monitors were definitely affected by that.
Marcia says 2 whole sessions were missed in Filoli.
Filoli, which is that's a big trail.
Yeah.
Trisha used to monitor over there. Yeah, probably our numbers are going to be way down just because of COVID. The Lafayette Reservoir is managed by East Bay Regional Mud, and it was closed almost all last year. We couldn't even go in there for any reason at all. And then this year, it was closed on and off the first part of the year, and then they really didn't close it. It wasn't closed, but we did not have access. And then we had to ask, then it got to a point where we had to ask permission for access. So now we have to call in 3 days in advance to ask permission to go in. Like tomorrow, I'm going to go over there and I need to repair some boxes and that, but I had to actually ask 3 days in advance.
Well, Ronnie says good news, because they do have access to Crystal Springs, it sounds like, and had some good results there. And he feels he'll be back in Filoli soon. So I think that I'd like to leave while we still have a few participants left, so I can feel like we left on a high note. So it's been an hour and a half.
It's been an hour and a half. Yeah. It's been good.
Yeah, I think so. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and thank everybody that presented. Thank all the. Hopefully, we'll be able to do it even bigger next year, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can. I think this worked out pretty well. So
It
um, Carolyn, are we able to save the chat by any chance?
Yeah, that'll be part of the recorded.
Part of the
So
recording,
I can send that to you.
All right, that would be great. So anyway, thank you everybody for coming, and we'll see you. We'll be doing, like I said, we're trying to figure out exactly how to do training for everybody. Now we'll be doing training for every county that wants it. So for example, Santa Clara County, obviously we do training every year for that. And then Beverly, I know, is going to be heading up training for San Mateo County. I know Georgette will do training, but we're also, like we said, we want to do training for every single county that wants it. And what we were thinking about maybe doing was doing a training that anyone in Northern California, anyone in Central California, anyone in Southern California could attend. And therefore, these are a little bit different, but that way we'd be able to do it that way. So anyway, thank you all for coming.
Thank you,
Bye.
Mike.
Thank you.
Good meeting.
All right,
Good meeting.
thanks.
Bye.